So I just got a chance to watch the Mortal Kombat film from 1995. I say I got a chance to watch it, it does beg the question, what have I been doing for the last 31 years? Especially because this is the kind of film that I should definitely been watching when I was a kid. Obviously it was made for my age group, generally, but also the influences on the games that this movie is based on kind of brings it full circle in a lot of ways, back to the cinema screen. But it was films like Bloodsport, Enter the Dragon, even little details like things from like Terminator and Running Man. These are all things we're going to get into in today's video. But I was quite pleased with the film. I mean, my review of the movie itself, so surprisingly entertaining as an adaptation as far as video games go. It's quite a rare thing. Doesn't overthink things too much. It's fairly light on any kind of deep storytelling. Makes up for all that with the usual fight scenes, one-liners. Plus there's also the electronic soundtrack as well that was like iconic, kind of had its own fan base in a lot of ways. The cast kind of leans into the sort of campiness, but not too much. Guys like Christopher Lambert's kind of there for that, with his kind of quirky take on Raiden. There wasn't quite what I was getting when I play the games from that character, but what he brings to it, it just adds to the film's charm rather than detracting from it, which is cool. The dialogue can be a bit cheesy, the plot is fairly straightforward, but the movie succeeds because it knows exactly what it is. Ultimately, it's a fun, stylised martial arts fantasy. It's not to be taken too seriously like certain other movies in the same genre. Similar to me, I don't take these reviews too seriously. I even leave my alerts on so when I get a text it destroys the entire video, but I'll keep that in anyway just for the fun of it. But for fans of the games, it captures the spirit better than many other later video game adaptations, making it a nostalgia favourite despite its flaws. So I will finally say, when I was a kid, here's me back in 1994 with the games Mortal Kombat 1 and 2 for the Amiga 500. I mentioned that in the video here today, so let's get started. Hello and welcome to Brandex Reviews. Today we have the core.
Yes.
So, I mean, you're generally in all the videos now anyway, but I specifically brought you in on this because you'll have a bit more knowledge to talk about this subject in general, and that is Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
We'll do follow-up videos. The main focus of this video is the 1995 film, but we can talk as well about other stuff as well. But for context, I don't know if I've had this conversation with you as well, but when I was a kid, I was a big fan of Mortal Kombat 1 and 2 on the Amiga 500. That's how I played it, and I seem to remember those were the uncut versions, so it had all the like blood and fatalities and stuff in it, like uncut, whereas like some of the other consoles I think had them like trimmed down. But on the Amiga 500 it was pretty cool, we had that. I was never massively into computer games like the latest ones. It was just quite low budget kind of household that I lived in. So what I was lucky. So in this case, this is something that I actually remember when it was a thing. I remember Christmas '94 getting Mortal Kombat 2, and it was like the coolest thing. I've still got a box somewhere. I don't think I've got it around here anymore, but it used to be in this room. For Mortal Kombat 1 and 2, and I still had the games master book with the all the combos and so on written in there, which was pretty cool. I can remember a lot of them off the top of my head, to be fair. But point is, I was a fan, and I was prime age for that when it originally came out. But that said, I never watched any of the films or any of the TV shows. The 1995 movie completely eluded me. I knew of it, and I knew people had seen it, and I remember what they were telling me about, but it's only until, was it yesterday or the day before, I actually watched Mortal Kombat, the first film from 1995, and I really enjoyed it as well. So, just say, what are your memories of Mortal Kombat, in general?
I mean, I had the... Well, technically my brother had the games on the Mega Drive, so I do remember playing like the first one, and I must have played like 2 and 3 because I can remember 3 pretty well.
Yeah, I never got as far as a third game. I know there's been many of them since, but yeah, just I say in terms of the movies. I mean, I never even watched these Street Fighter film until like years later. I'm talking like 2010s, I think, when I first saw the Street Fighter film, because I don't know, they were just computer game movies. There weren't many of them back in the day, but even then they had a bad reputation.
And the ones there were absolutely fucking embarrassing.
Exactly, yeah. So they had a bad reputation back then, you generally knew to stay away. But this is a good one. It's Paul Anderson, isn't it, that directed... He did quite a few computer game-related films, remember, like Resident Evil, and I think arguably Alien vs. Predator kind of leans more on being based on the game rather than the comics or the 2 movie franchises. Seems to kind of cater more for fans of the games, which is fine because the games were quite good from memory. But no, I mean, I was kind of thinking I want to see this film because that new one, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat 2, that's coming out with Carl Urban, actually looks pretty good. I think it was Paul Cage that sent me the trailer for that a few months ago. I thought, that actually looks... In the era that we're in now, of the kind of post the message and sort of into the era of like back to getting into slop again, this looks like it is kind of slop, but like kind of teetering on the sort of edge of being a good film. Maybe, hopefully, we'll see. So I fancied like going to see something like along those lines this year, and there's not been much in terms of like big blockbuster, like goofy action films coming out that on the horizon. So this might be one that I could potentially go to see, but I haven't seen the other movies and so on. So
yeah. So were you saying you have actually seen the 90s Mortal Kombat film now?
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, I've seen that. I realised the new Street Fighter 2 isn't a sequel to that. It was a 2021 film, which I've got to watch shortly as well. You've seen that, I haven't. I mean, you can talk a little bit about that. From what I understand, it's like okay. And it seems like this new film is going to be a lot better than that. So I'll give that first film a watch shortly. What were your thoughts on the 2021 film?
It was alright, but a bit forgettable, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like I say, I don't have anything against it, but it's like literally I watched it when it first came out, and then when I like, oh, they're making another one. Did I watch that film? I don't think I've watched that film. And I'm like halfway through watching the film, I'm like, I have seen this before. Like, what the hell?
Yeah. Yeah,
it's just that memorable. It's like I mean, probably not halfway through. It's like when the first bit like starts up with the like going into like Scorpion's backstory, and I'm like, shit, yeah, I've seen this.
Yeah, because the 1995 film I thought was pretty good. I mean, it's kind of weird that I've never seen it, because a lot of movies that it kind of takes inspiration from are films that I love and grew up watching, even if you're not like consciously. Some of it's like little details, like obviously Kano, his face is based on the sort of Terminator face, where like half his face is like taken off and the sort of glowing red eye. You've got things like Sonya, who was based on Cynthia Rothrock. Johnny Cage was specifically based on Van Damme, the actual actor Van Damme, right down to even doing this sort of iconic splits and then punch the balls, which is like straight out of Kickboxer. No, not Kickboxer, Bloodsport, sorry. Although there is some Kickboxer influence in there as well. There's a bit of a mix of Van Damme in there for Johnny Cage, but it's generally Bloodsport. You've got Bruce Lee with Liu Kang, like very specifically based on that. Raiden, obviously, is based on one of the 3 storms from Big Trouble in Little China. There's just all sorts of stuff. You could even say that sort of a lot of the tournament stuff is based on Enter the Dragon. Again, Bruce Lee influence there.
Yeah, and it probably is one of those things that's like the tournament, like a lot of these tournament games like don't really make much sense if you try and make them into film. Like they had to stretch like crazy to make Street Fighter make even a hint of sense. And like, what the hell is it? Dead or Alive, like, not a bad tournament fighter film, but like, how do you make like a storyline out of a game famous for its breast jiggle physics?
Right. Okay.
It's like that's what it's more known for than its storyline. Whereas like Mortal Kombat does actually have a bit of a storyline with the whole like, tournament in this like other world where they're trying to defend like Earth from being invaded if they can win this tournament. Like it actually kind of makes sense in like a kind of movie premise rather than just, yep, we're going to have a lot of women in bikinis like fly kicking each other. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it's a decent film as well. I mean, it's I can see how a lot of people would still hold it up as like a decent mid-90s film if they enjoyed it at the time. So I was kind of going into it as if like with the knowledge of the kind of movies that were coming out back then. It's just a shame to me that they didn't put anybody in the film that I'm like a big fan of, other than like Christopher Lambert. I mean, the casting it were great. I just mean it would have been like good if it had like a Van Damme in it or something, so it was like part of like maybe a collection. It kind of stands on its own. The cast is quite interesting to it because a lot of them kind of went on to do nothing. They kind of got like not screwed over as such, but just kind of like unfortunate like timing or whatever with how the other films they went on to do. I realise there's a sequel, Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I've been made aware just to stay away from that it's apparently terrible.
Yeah, like I said, the first Mortal Kombat film kind of works because it was very much just, it wasn't trying to be anything too like weird. It was just like a tournament, fighting story. You didn't need to do anything more than that with it, really. But yeah, the sequel, it started to get like sillily over the dramatic and went more into the outer world stuff, and it just didn't work. It was a pretty like shocking sequel.
So you were telling me before we started recording, and I was semi-aware of it, but only like in the back of my memory, TV series, the Mortal Kombat TV series. What was the deal?
Mortal Kombat Conquest, which lasted for like one season.
Right.
And it's one of those that's kind of annoying because it ends on this massive cliffhanger with like the bad guy having won. And then you'd find out how like the heroes like come back from that next season, but well, there was no next season, so you've just got this horrible cliffhanger that's never going to be resolved.
Yeah, I hate when they do that. I mean, they did that with Dark Skies. Remember that in like?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a tactic. It's like, if we leave it on like a cliffhanger, like people are going to like rally behind it and like get it a second season, but it doesn't always work.
Yeah. Yeah, so I sort of remember it being. Was that sort of late 90s? I'm guessing, anyway. I sort of remember it.
Something like that. It's one of those things where, I mean, I'm gonna like admit I do remember watching it, and it wasn't that bad for what it was. Like, kind of like a silly like fantasy martial arts thing. It was okay for that.
Yeah, there are a lot of old TV shows about them we used to watch that we'd probably laugh at nowadays. Yeah, so I'll give the 2021 version a watch, but I quite liked as well what they did with some of the characters, like Scorpion and Sub-Zero. That was another thing. There was like a Running Man reference because like Sub-Zero, like obviously the name of that was something from the Running Man movie. But yeah, I quite like what they did with those characters as well, because those are a bit more supernatural than some of the other characters in the game. So obviously there's like a bit of a separation as to which characters are just kind of like normal people, or in contrast to guys who can fire harpoons out of their hands and so on.
Yeah, that was kind of the like kind of some of the premise of that first film. Like, you had these people like laser eyes and like freeze you with their magic and stuff, and then there's just like Johnny Cage, who's just like a slightly arrogant like film star.
Yeah,
he's just like a dude, like, but he like gets some pretty good like moments in the film.
Because in Annihilation, I think they kill him off, don't they? So it's a different actor.
He gets killed.
Yeah, so and he was quite a fan favourite in that film, so they made quite a few mistakes with Annihilation. I think they only brought back 2.
I mean, when it's bad enough that even Christopher Lambert is like, yeah, I'm not coming back for the sequel.
Yeah. Well, from what I've heard, Christopher Lambert was quite enthusiastic about the movie because I think they were either under budget or they had the budget just slashed or something while they were mid-production, and there were little things that they couldn't afford. So I think he paid for the wrap party, I think, that they had after the movie was made, and he paid for his own flight over to wherever they were filming the movie because he couldn't afford that as well. But I think because he believed in in the thing itself, I don't know what basis, whether it was just he thought the film sounded good or if he was a fan of the games or something. But yeah, Christopher Lambert, to him, it wasn't just turning up for a paycheck. Which is pretty good. It's good when you get actors more than you get out of somebody like Steven Seagal anyway. We want to come back to do some reshoots or do some dubbing of the voice. You don't mind recording your voice? He's like, nah, count me out. We'll just get the core to do it. The core can dub my voice. That's
yes.
Yeah, that's why all of a sudden Seagal just starts going, yes. I'm joking, obviously. That's not a thing. That's not a thing.
Damn it, no bad language.
Yeah.
Damn it, you're going to have to get somebody else to do the dubbing.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, going off a bit of a tangent there. But so I'll just keep this video fairly short anyway, like I say. I was quite pleasantly surprised by how decent the film was. Obviously, it kind of feels like B-movie, I suppose. I don't know, maybe when it came out, maybe it felt a little bit more like a big movie. But obviously watching now, it's fairly sort of B-movie but on that scale, it was pretty decent. I enjoyed it. I wasn't, and this goes back to what we talked about in the last video about high or low expectations. We kind of generally dismissed it as not really being a thing. If you go in with high expectations, that is the deciding factor. I think it can be an influence. So by having low expectations, obviously you're a little bit, I don't know, more forgiving maybe. So there can be true elements to it. Overall, I don't think it's a major thing. But I did go into this with fairly low expectations, so that probably did skew my thoughts a little bit. But no, it was a good film. So that's on that basis, I'm saying it's a good film. So any other thoughts from the core?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was definitely easier to make into a film than Street Fighter, and full disclosure, I like the Street Fighter movie. As bad as it is,
I have it.
It's just got some cheesy charm to it, which I kind of I'm in there for.
Yeah. Well, the Street Fighter movie, I only saw it around about 2012 because I remember specifically it was when Expendables 2 was coming out that year, and it occurred to me, although I'd always been a fan of Van Damme, I hadn't actually seen all of his films, and there were quite a few bangers I hadn't seen. I hadn't even seen Bloodsport at that point. I'd seen Kickboxer, some of his canon ones, not Kickbox, Cyborg, and what's the one where he's in prison? Some non-name remembering mofo, which I also extend to movies. Death Warrant, and so on. But there was a few that I hadn't seen, and Street Fighter was one of them. I mean, that's a bit more forgiving having not seen Street Fighter, but than something like Bloodsport. But I got this box set anyway, basically. I remember getting this and thinking, oh, this is magic. Look at all those movies in there on my DVD. And it's a good box set to the point where I've even kept it, even though I've upgraded a lot of these movies to Blu-ray in more recent years. But I just love this box set because it was such a happy time getting it. It was at a time when I wasn't making a lot of money as well, so to get this for a decent price was magic. But yeah, it had Street Fighter in there as well. So that was on that basis that I got to see the movie for the first time about 18 years after it had come out. And I agree with you. It is what it is. They weren't trying to make a film that they didn't actually come out. Oh, we cocked up. It's really goofy. It's supposed to be really goofy, and that's people loved it for that.
Yeah, well, I say when you come down to them, Street Fighter's got very almost cartoony kind of graphics to it. It's very stylized. They're not really supposed to look like real people.
Yeah.
Whereas Mortal Kombat was always known for the it was fully motion captured and stuff, and they were supposed to look kind of realistic, and it was a bit of a big thing the gore and stuff. Even though if you look at the gore nowadays, it's yes, so you lightly punch somebody in the face and this massive glob of ketchup comes flying out of them you've just squeezed a bottle in the face. What the hell?
I think
You calling this
Topher.
gore? Like, what the heck?
I think Topher did something similar with Buff one time, but it was mayo, so rather than ketchup.
Ooh.
But yeah, no, I know what you mean. And I suppose that's
Like I said, I just think that kind of, fits itself more for like a live action kind of like action film than necessarily the Street Fighter thing, if that makes any sense.
yeah, and I quite like the stuff in this as well with Liu Kang's brother as well, because you would never have had a moment like that in the Street Fighter movie because it's just too silly,
Mm.
or it would have played out very differently, basically. But they can kind of go for something that is like a straight up moment where he gets like reunited with his brother, kind of like the end of Ghost, but not quite as not quite as heartfelt as that. But it still works, and it wasn't like too cheesy. But
And also just the we can't like do a thing about Mortal Kombat and not mention the soundtrack, because I think that is like iconic.
yeah,
The like screaming Mortal Kombat before like the music starts.
yeah, 'cause wasn't that from the actual game? Well, not from the game, but from the promo of the game, like originally, like a couple of years earlier, I think.
Could have been. I don't know on that one, so
Yeah,
I'm not gonna.
because I can remember this when it was released. It was Mortal Monday, and if I remember the specifics of it correctly, it was to do with, because it was an arcade game. Obviously, it was when it got a console release on a Monday, and it was called Mortal Monday, and there was like a big promotion for it. And I think that's where some of the soundtrack music came from, and there were groups like KMFDM, I think it was, and some other ones that were quite big at the time did some like tracks to like promote it, or I might be half remembering that. I don't know if that was the movie soundtrack or the promo stuff or a combination of the two. But yeah, it was good times. That's a good point that you raised, because the soundtrack is a massive part of what people loved and remembered from the time. I might put a video at the end of this if I can find it still. But I was going through a load of my stuff from when I was a kid, and I actually found this book that somebody from school made, where it was like it was like thing where you flip through it and it animates, like you draw like one like frame at a time, and then the next then you draw them like moving it. And it did like Mortal Kombat 2. If I can find it, I'll edit it into the video. But yeah, stuff like that. It was like a big deal when it came out, So any final thoughts?
Say it was like the pretty much like the standard for like a video game movie that did not suck ass for a long time. Because pretty much every other one, like the Super Mario Brothers movie back in the day, like, God, what is this?
Well, last year I was watching you probably know where I'm going with this, a lot of Mark Dacascos films, because there were quite a few of his that I had never seen, and even now I struggle to get hold of for a sensible price. Films like Only the Strong. You haven't seen that, we should watch that sometime, it's a good one. But obviously Mark Dacascos did the Double Dragon film, and
God.
yeah.
Oh God! There is literally one of the promotional posters where it does look like the female, like main female character in it has like a suspicious bulge in her shorts. It's like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just an unfortunate angle, but it is just like the hell.
Yeah, well, I must have gone into that movie watching it with high expectations, because I didn't like it, and you'd only dislike a film if you had high expectations.
That film is god awful.
Yeah, so I went in with low expectations. I knew specifics about it, and let's just say I wasn't disappointed, as in like my expectations weren't disappointed. It was as bad as as I thought it was going to be. Had Robert Patrick in it as well, didn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's been loads of computer game movies, and it's very rare that any of them are any good, but there are a few exceptions here and there. As far as tournament movies go, that's not really your kind of genre. It wasn't mine until sort of later on in life, like more recent sort of decade or two. I was never into tournament movies when I was a kid, including Enter the Dragon. It wasn't something that I ever saw until I was like maybe about 30 or something. Now I love those kind of films. Because Mortal Kombat obviously pulls from like the tournament movies. Like we're saying, like Bloodsport and Enter the Dragon and Kickboxer and all those kind of things. But there's some good ones. Have you ever seen? I don't think you've seen this actually. We might have talked about this before. Best of the Best.
Just not ringing any bells.
That is a good film. It's one that I think the reason I never watched it was because a lot of knobheads I went to school loved it, and it was just guilt by association. It's like, I don't want to watch that because it just reminds me of, oh, have you seen Best of the Best? It's actually really good. It's like so good. It is one of the best of those like movies, especially the first one. It's like it's like a mega like gut punch at the end. Not actually, that's probably the wrong word because it makes it sound like a sad ending. Like a tearjerker kind of thing. So at the end of it, like legitimately, if you don't like feel some emotion in that movie, you've got like no soul, like seriously. And you don't normally get that in like tournament movies. And then the second one has a different kind of vibe to it, but is really good in its own right. The two of them are kind of separate. And then the third and fourth one, like straight to video ones, they don't work as well. I kind of like them, but they are proper like B movie, like straight to video number 3 and 4.
Well, I mean, I certainly felt emotions while watching the DOA film. That could have just been the bikinis, though.
Oh yeah, I don't even know what DOA is. I know you've mentioned it earlier in the video, but
Dead or Alive.
Yeah, I know
it's
that.
another tournament fighter. Like I say,
yeah,
the biggest like thing that it has added to like tournament video game like fighters is world class like jiggle physics for the characters' breasts. So that's kind of what sort of film you're going into there.
Yeah, well, I've got some videos like that, but no, it's not something I've no memory of that. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it anyway. Yeah. Anyway, I think on that note, probably longer.
Yeah, let's actually end this because we keep saying, right, are we going to end this? And
Yeah,
we keep
sorry.
going. Like, yeah, let's actually end this film now.
It's going to be a 5-minute video. One more thing. No, I'm joking. Right. That's Mortal Kombat. We'll probably talk more. In fact, we could do a follow-up video when I've watched the 2021 film, and then maybe do another video if and when we watch this new film. If you want to go to cinema or whatever, we'll figure something out anyway. So yeah.
We just need to get Topher to pop up and go, Topher!
That's a good note to end on.
Mortal Kombat 2, sorry.
I got the reference. Thank you very much for watching.